Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Come on in, want to hop on really quickly. As you are coming in, please invite your followers and share this broadcast. If you are watching on the replay, you can still share and give hearts as you're watching. So as you're watching, come on in, give hearts. Hopefully I won't keep you guys too long, but we'll see what happens. Depends on how engaged you are, so we'll see. If you guys have not signed up for the free webinar, make sure you do that. We still have some spots open, so the link is in the title, bit.ly/position to prosper, and we're going to talk about, what's keeping you from your destiny. What are some of the challenges that you face? Do you know your purpose? What are some of the obstacles that we face when it comes to pursuing our purpose? If you are stuck in a job, you're not making as much money as you want to, sign up for that webinar. It's totally free, but there are limited spaces, so make sure that you do that. bit.ly position to prosper, all right? And then when you sign up, share it with somebody else that you think may need it, or even if you don't need it and know somebody who does, share it with them, all right? So let's jump in. I want to talk about staying woke. Talk about staying woke, right? I see this phrase posted on a lot of things, and I feel like we're awakened or we're aware of a lot of things, but they have nothing to do with God, right? Like, we are aware of who's having babies, who's pregnant. Sierra just had her baby the other day. Beyonce got twins on the way. Serena posted that she's pregnant. So it's like we're aware of a lot of things and we're woke to a lot of things. But are we aware and are we conscious of God's agenda, right? Beyond going to church and all that, are we aware of what God is doing in the world right now, or what he wants to do through his children? And so don't just talk about being woke. And yeah, we're in the world, but we should be awakened to what's going on in the world, and we should be awakened to what God is doing at the same time. So I'm not saying sleep on the world and all you know is spiritual stuff. No, you need to be awakened to both, because then you can't be effective if you can't relate to the people that you've been assigned to, right? So we need to be awakened in both the spiritual realm and the natural realm as well. Yeah, stay woke. So I want to talk about that a little bit today. And so what does God care about? He told us to go and make disciples. So are we doing that, right? That's what God cares about. Are we making disciples? And I saw an article a couple of months ago, and it said Islam is the fastest growing religion. Do we care? Right? Do we care about that? That Islam is at some point going to outnumber Christian? That's a problem, and the question is, do we care about it? And if we do, what are we going to do about it, right? Divorce inside the church is as high as it is outside of the church. Why is that? Do we care, and what are we going to do about it, right? Talked about the 7 mountains of influence. Christianity is not dominating any of them right now. Why is that? Right? So, yeah, we're woke, but what are we really awakened to? What are we aware of? And so we need to be aware of what's going on in our lives, what's going on in the world. And I want to give you guys, take some notes. Well, science came from God, so anyway. So take some notes. I want to look at first 1 Peter 5:8. 1 Peter 5:8 says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour." Right? I posted something earlier today, and it said I have to stay on guard at my post because the enemy is on the prowl. So he's just looking for an opportunity to trip you up, to make you fall, to distract you from your destiny. And we have to be on guard. And again, not so focused on everything that's going on in the world that we are blinded to what God is trying to do. All right? So be sober, be vigilant. So you got to be awake. God's telling us, be woke, right? Wake up. That's what God's telling us to do. And so I want to give you 3 things really quick that you need to pay attention to as you're going throughout your day, throughout this week. Whenever you're watching this, it's still going to apply. And the first one is your triggers. What are your triggers, right? You need to know those so that you can know when they're being pushed, or the boundaries are being pushed in your own life. And so triggers are basically sound, sight, smells, taste, and touch that awaken certain memories, right? So you can smell perfume on somebody and that might remind you of your mom, an ex-girlfriend, your grandma, or whatever the case is. Or, also certain seasons and environments, they trigger things, especially if you've come out of a life of sin. You can hear a certain song on the radio and you having flashback. Right? You're having flashbacks of people that you shouldn't have been with. You start having memories of what you were doing when those songs were playing, or whatever the case is. And so you need to know what your triggers are. Know what the seasons are, right? Some people, they get depressed around Christmas time, or certain holidays, or anniversary dates and things of that nature. So you need to know what your triggers are, and things that will potentially trip you up if you don't guard your heart. All right. 1 John 2:16 says that for all that is in the world, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. Right? So be careful when you're making decisions and you're hungry. What are you hungry for? So that means you have a void that you are trying to fill, and you will fill it with just anything if you are not disciplined. So know what turns you on, for a lack of better, word. You need to know what things entice you and what things kind of set you off. Also, sorry y'all, this is the second day in a row my phone didn't jump out the thing, so I'm gonna hold it again. But you need to know what things set you off. I mean, some people, what buttons that people can push that make you angry. Right? The things that make you sensitive. So just know what your triggers are, because when you are vulnerable, that's when the enemy comes in and tries to trip you up. All right? So know what your triggers are. The second one is you need to be aware of traps. Right? You need to be aware of traps. So 1 John 4:1 says, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirit." What is it that's luring you away? And the devil, you know what? I think we have a weird image of him in our head. We think, when you're little, people dress up as the devil for Halloween, and you have horns and a cape and all that. And I see this post that says, no, the devil doesn't come in a cape and horns. He dresses up as everything that you ever want, right? That's what he does. He dresses up as things that you desire. So if you have a certain type that you like, male or female or whatever, they got to be whatever skin tone and however tall, he'll send you somebody that's exactly like that. But the spirit that's behind it is not going to be God. So you have to test every spirit. And that's the only way you know whether it's a trap or not. I mean, think about a mouse. You set something up on a mouse trap, its eyes are on the cheese. It's not focused on the fact that if I go on this thing, I'm going to get my cheese, but I'm going to lose my life. And that's exactly what the devil does to us. He will position something that you desire, but with that comes, he's either going to try to kill you, steal something from you, or destroy you. So it is a trap, and you have got to be aware of the things that you desire, because it will set it up. And know that the devil hears your prayers too. Know that he hears your prayers too, and he will send you a counterfeit. And so you just need to test every spirit and say, okay, who is really behind this? Lord, don't make any quick decisions. You need to get confirmation from God. And it's okay to ask God, is this really you? Because you need to know if it's really God or if it's the enemy trying to set you up to fail. All right. So know your triggers. You need to know and be aware of what traps are in your life. And then you also need to be aware of tests. Know that you will go through times of testing. Okay. James 1:13 and 14. James 1:13 and 14, it says, "Let no one say when he is tempted, I am tempted by God. God does not tempt us. The enemy does," right? "For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he himself tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and enticed." So God does not tempt us, but understand that he will allow us to be tempted as part of a test. Hey, Mom. He is full of trickery, foolishness. So God does not tempt us, but he allows temptation as a test for us. Does that make sense? Right? He will use it as a test. So remember, last year when you said, okay, God, if you get me out of this thing, I won't do it again. Well, he remembers that, and guess what? He's going to test you. And he's going to allow the enemy to, again, present you with a trap and see if you're going to take it or not. Are you going to allow him to lure you into the thing that you said you were going to say no to the next time? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about, because you know what? You're going to keep taking the same test over and over again until you finally pass it. Okay, that's just how it works. God wants you to grow, and the only way that you grow, and he can see if you've actually grown, is by testing you. It's just like in school. You don't go through school and never take a test, but they test you so that they can know, okay, you've learned what you needed to learn on this level, so that we can decide if you are ready to go to the next level or not. Well, God did the same thing. He does the same thing. So be aware of the test, and they come in different seasons. Right? They are cyclical. So, like again, if you ran into some kind of test last year and you failed it, oh, God's not going to hold it against you. He doesn't keep any record of wrongs, but guess what he is keeping track of? Your growth. He is keeping track of your growth. He may not be keeping track of how many times you failed, but he is keeping track of whether you're actually growing or not, whether you're actually applying the word that you are absorbing every single week, hopefully at least once a week, right? If not daily, but you got to be tested on what you supposedly learning, okay? And so there are seasons. Know the seasons. That's why I love journaling, because you need to be able to say, okay, where was I last? What month is it? It's almost May now. What were you doing last May? What were some of the struggles that you had last May? And be prepared to be tested on those things this time. Or maybe with last summer. What were some of the struggles that you had last summer? Maybe you struggled with lust or something. You know, it's about to get hot. People starting to get naked. What you do, right? But did you fall during that season, or were you okay? Were you able to guard your eyes and guard your heart? And you're going to be tested on that. So know what seasons of testing you're typically in. And also you get tested during different stages, right? So right before promotion, you get tested as well. So pay attention to, okay, what have I been studying for the last month or quarter or whatever? You're going to get tested on it. So if you say, God, help me with forgiveness. Well, guess what? 9 times out of 10, you're going to be put into a position to where you're going to have to forgive somebody, and God's going to test you. All right, you said you were good and you could love that person. Well, let's see. Let's put those words into action now. So know what stages you're in, what you're going through. So yeah, triggers, traps, and tests. You gotta be aware, guys, and not just be like, well, we're woke. Yeah, we're woke to what's going on in the world, but we need to be awake in our own spiritual lives as well. All right, we are ambassadors for Christ. So yeah, we need to know what's going on in the world so we can reach the people, but we don't need to be so absorbed with what they're doing that we have lost sight of God's agenda. And we know more about the world than we do about the Bible. That should not be, right? And there's other scriptures. You can write these down to study as well. Let's see, Matthew 26:41, right? Watch and pray lest you enter into temptation. So again, watch, be on guard, and then pray. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Sometimes, y'all, we want to do right. But sometimes that flesh just kicks on in and just takes over, right? So you got to pray. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Remember that? Matthew 6:13, when Jesus was telling them how to pray. And you don't have to just, read the whole thing, but it's like in your prayers, you should be covering, those things. God, protect me. Don't lead me into temptation. Thank you for providing for me and all that. So it was a model of topics to cover, but not just something that we recite because someone told us to memorize it. All right? So watch and pray. Be on guard. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, no temptation has overtaken you such as is common to man. So guys, we are all in this struggle together. There's nothing that you've gone through that somebody else hasn't gone through. I mean, we just don't like talking about it. We want to make people think that we're perfect and we don't go through anything. So, I'm blessed and highly favored. The devil didn't try to attack me this week. I'm good. No, he probably did, and you probably failed and you don't want nobody to know, but it's okay. Like, we all fail and fall short at some point, but we try to hide it and act like, we all Jesus right now. We're not. So, but God is faithful. God is faithful when we're tempted, right? He will not allow us to be tempted beyond what we're able, but with the temptation, he will make a way of escape that we may be able to bear it. So when we know we're tempted and we know we're about to walk into a trap, God will give us a way out. Even if it's you hearing a little voice inside of your head that's saying, nope, we don't want to do that. We don't want to go there. We don't need to talk with that person. Yeah. Take the way out. Listen to that voice in your head. It's not you. And we override that voice all the time. Oh, that's not God. Well, who is it? Who is it? You know, if it doesn't have your best interest in mind, then yes, the Holy Spirit trying to tell you, you need to slow your roll. So we need to listen to that little voice and stop overriding it, because God gives us a way out. I mean, have you ever been in a situation where it's like you were about to do something that you know you didn't do, and then somebody just called you out the blue? Out the blue, right? No. It was God trying to save you, and we override it because we're not on God. We're not woke in those situations. We're awake when it's not convenient for us somehow or some way. But we need to be on guard and take those ways out when God gives them to us. Again, we have to pass the test, and when we don't, we're going to take them again. We're going to go around the same mountain again and again until finally we say, you know what? No, I'm done. I'm tired of failing this test, and this time I'm actually going to take the way out. And then guess what? You won't have to take it again, hopefully, unless you fall back into it, and then you got to go through the process all over again. So that was 1 Corinthians 10:13. And then Jesus understands, y'all. Jesus was tempted as well. So we can call on him. He understands, but he didn't sin. And now we have that power on the inside of us, so we don't have to sin either. But we have to listen to his voice. We have to yield to the Holy Spirit. And it's like, you know what? This person looks real good right now, but I know that's not good for me. Everything that looks good for you is not God. Right? Everything that looks good is not God, and we have to be okay with taking a step back and saying, God, is this really you? And then if it's not, just moving on and trusting that he knows what's best for us. And it's like, okay, it's not him, whatever, move on. It's okay, it's not a big deal. All right, so Jesus knows, he understands, and he's able to help us. So call on him. We don't like asking for help. We think we can just override our flesh by ourselves, and we can't do it. That's why you have the power of the Holy Spirit. That's why Jesus died, to give us power to overcome, but we have to tap into it, right? I mean, a light switch is only as good as the power that it's connected to. There's no point in having a light switch on and it's not connected to a light bulb or anything else. What's the point? And so we have to turn that power on the inside of us if we're going to overcome these temptations, if we're going to pass these tests, if we're going to be able to override and not succumb to these triggers in our lives. You know, he's smelling like this, she's smelling like that, or maybe you're supposed to be fasting and you smelling whatever kind of food and you tempted to go eat something you're not supposed to. So be aware of your weaknesses. Be aware of your weaknesses. Know the things that have tripped you up in the past. And it's not saying you're just living in the past and shame and condemnation. No, you know you. You know what sets you off, and just override it so that you can defeat the enemy. Okay? So, and yes, the enemy is defeated, but guess what? You still have to fight the battle. So, luckily we have thankfully, we have all of the weapons that we need to win these fights, but we still got to fight at the end of the day. So, yeah, so that's it. Stay woke spiritually, and not just with what the world has going on and who's having whose babies and who's fighting who and all this other foolishness. Like, we have an agenda to fulfill, and we have got to be aware. Guys, be aware. Stay woke. Hey, how are you? I watched your video, by the way, on your testimony, so good job on that. I just wanted to let you know that. I liked it. So, thanks for sharing. So, be aware, guys. Don't just be woke on, what's happening on Scandal and all this other stuff. We need to be awake in the spirit. Know what God is doing in your life. Know what the triggers are. Know what your traps are, so that you can overcome them and be promoted to the next level. Again, I always talk about this. Your deliverance is not just about you, right? It's not just about you. So when you got saved, it wasn't just so you could sit in a church pew every week and sing some songs. Maybe you sing, because some people don't. They just sit there and stare at everybody. But I'm just saying, it's not just so you could change your schedule. It's so that you could set somebody else free. We don't share the gospel. We don't care. Again, Islam is on schedule to surpass Christianity at some point. And do we care? And what are we going to do about it? Do we care? Are we going to invite people that we work with to a small group or to church, even if they might say no? So what? We got to be better at evangelizing and stop expecting our pastors to do all the work. By the time they get to church, it's too late then. You should have been asking people all week if they needed Jesus, if they wanted to come to, your small group, or invite them to church or something. Like, come on, guys. We got to do better. And I know we're in westernized culture and nobody cares and everybody's caught up in their own agenda, but we're in the world but not of it. So we're going to be held responsible for the work that we do. And I believe, really, as Christians, everybody should at least lead one person to salvation. I'm working on it. Hasn't happened yet, but I got a list and I'm trying. So, but I believe that we're all called to do that. And it shouldn't be hard. And yeah, it might be awkward, but God will help you. He'll give you the right thing to say. He'll give you the tools and the resources, and it's fine. Okay? I love y'all. I really do. But we have to get focused. We have got to get focused if we are going to change this generation, if we're going to, recover. I hate to see that, everybody is saying, well, the church is kind of out of style. It's not relevant anymore, and people are leaving in droves, and it shouldn't be. We should care. Well, what are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong? And do we care enough to do something about it? Or are we just going to keep going to church every week and just hoping that people are going to come to us? So let's be awakened in the spirit. Let's get on God's agenda. Let's overcome our fear and our pride and all that other stuff. And let's do the work of the Lord. Okay? Okay. I'm going to take that as a yes. Y'all are with me in this. So share it with somebody. Share this. If you missed it, watch the replay. Watch the replay. My phone jumped out the holder again, so I had to hold it with my hand, but it's all good. So again, if you also have not signed up for the webinar, do that and invite a friend when you sign up. It's only a few spots, so make sure you want to get in if you haven't already. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you can do that at Arianne Maccabee, and I should be on some more this week, so turn your notifications on, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. And I'll talk to you later in the week. All right? Bye.